Wheels is proudly brought to you by Broadlake for reliable business connectivity. Welcome on our first segment of Two Wheels this week. Dave Petersen does a bit of rock climbing on the all-new KTM 350 Freeride. Ha! This should be fun.
Yes, welcome to our first official test of the KTM 350 Freeride, the bike that we've all waited so eagerly for to arrive in South Africa. And this is the bike that is set to redefine the art of trail riding around the world. You can see what it does. It just climbs up these sort of passes with absolute ease. Now, I tell you, I've been up this exact pass on a 450 days gone by, and it was an absolute nightmare with these loose boulders and rocks. This bike, well, it just really, it's almost like cheating, and I'm sure I'm going to say that a couple of times. Putting them in second or third gear, you don't need to use first gear, so if I had a Freeride, I might even consider just lengthening the gearing a little bit, put a smaller rear sprocket. And I was thinking also maybe there's a tuning map available, give it another 4 or 5 horsepower, which would certainly help loft the front wheel in third or fourth gear even, because don't forget we're at huge altitude here on the reef. What's it, 1500 or 1800 meters up here? Well, it was 1500 down there, it's about 1800 here. And it just lacks that bit of power because of the altitude. Obviously at sea level you'd never have that problem. So I would go for the engine mapping available to this bike, just to give it that extra little bit of oomph. This is virgin terrain, almost like you would do on a trials course. I'm not really a trials rider, as you probably can gather, but boy, look at this. It just does it. It just does it. Simple as that. The bike is so sure-footed. This Freeride puts the front wheel exactly where you want it to go. So as you come down the trail here, there's a couple of loose boulders and drop-offs. And I can just imagine a place like Lesotho, steep downhills, you're able to place the front wheel exactly where you want it. So you're not going to get caught out on these steep drop-offs like this. It really is amazing, and I think it's a lot due to the fact that the steering head angle is quite tight on the Freeride. And that makes it so sure-footed, coupled to the trials tyre. It really is amazing. When KTM announced the Freeride a little while back, in fact it was last year, we were saying, well, it's only got 29 horsepower. Why would you want a bike that doesn't have a lot of horsepower? Because, you know, we've got these big old climbs to do, like this sort of thing, and we've got Lesotho and those sort of places where we ride the roof of Africa. Well, the fact is, more horsepower you have on these sort of things, the more embarrassing it is. Soft power like this, it really is just the sort of bike you need for this type of terrain. But we're also going to find out if this bike can go out onto the open veld as well and have just as much fun. So stay with us, because I'm really looking forward to riding the 350 KTM Freeride. So what's the Freeride like in the open stuff? It's not going to win the desert race in Botswana, is it? But it's got a top speed of about 100 km per hour. You'd be surprised how fast 100 is in the dirt. So it's more than ample for what we're doing. Something that I haven't tried for many years. Let's see if I can still do this. Well, it is a sort of a trick bike, isn't it? That you can do all sorts of tricks on and that sort of stuff, you know. Sort of a stunt bike. Well, we used to do this when we were kids. Haven't done this for a long time though. You can see I'm rusty. Anyway, bit of a trick if you want to try it. Very slippery here with a lot of moss on these rocks. Well, the trials tyres are, well, they do their job, don't they? Whoops, put my foot down. Means I lost one mark there. So 6-day trials, I'm already one down. Boy, this is what I love doing on a motorcycle. Now when you play a ride like this, bikes can run really hard. The Freeride has got two tiny little radiators there. And if you listen closely, you can hear the fan buzzing away. That's what keeps it so cool. So radiator fan is a necessity when you've got tiny little radiators. But it's all about saving weight with the Freeride. It actually weighs in at just over 100 kilograms wet, which is extremely light for a 350cc 4-stroke enduro machine. A bash plate underneath is very important because ground clearance is rather limited. You actually have to ride it a bit like a trials bike. So it's really got the same motor as a supercrosser, but it's detuned. Twin exhausts for extreme silence, and I mean silence. If you lift up the seat, there is the fuel tank and the air filter, easily accessible. You should get about 90 k's on a tank full. Trials tyres fitted as standard. Good idea to put mooses into those trials tyres because they do puncture quite easily. The front forks are from the 85cc motocross bike, revalved and reworked to fit this machine. Now we're going to enter what we call the urban cycle. The advantage of the Freeride, it makes no noise whatsoever. It is so quiet, your neighbours will not even hear you start the bike in the mornings. So we take it into an urban area and have some fun. It doesn't bother anybody, and this means you can literally ride out of your gate, out of your driveway, if you live in a place like I do, and ride this sort of terrain. It all adds to the fun of the KTM 350 Freeride. The urban cycle. Remember that, we used to do that in the old days. Now you trailer your bike to where you want to ride. Here we are, we just go out of the gate and start riding immediately. And that is the huge advantage of the KTM 350 Freeride. It's priced at just under 74,000 Rand. In fact, you get 1 Rand change from that amount. I think it's a bargain, especially when you can do this sort of thing. Nothing stops the 350 Freeride. So, have KTM achieved what they wanted to do? They built the Freeride, what they set out to do? Yes, I think so. And more actually, because, well, this is a bike that will appeal to newcomers to the sport because it's so easy to ride. 30 horsepower is not going to get you into a great deal of trouble. It's got the best suspension around it. But also it's going to appeal to top riders, enduro riders. And don't be surprised if you see a couple of Freerides taking part in this year's Roof of Africa. And don't be surprised if one of these bikes can actually finish in the top 5 or 6.